Hello and welcome to the ORCA Countdown. We are here ranking and counting down all 11 Australian LRGs that are in existence at this moment, that have been filmed, that have been put up. We have been covering this for a number of seasons. This is the this fifth season we've covered, and officially the seventh best season of all time. We've been covering it for a couple of weeks, and now the most anticipated segment of our coverage. It's not the 3-hour wrap that I do with somebody. It's not when I talk to production. It's certainly not a deep dive with a winner where they just talk about their boring gameplay. It is the tea party with Annabel and associated guests, dishing out the hot tea about all the goss, where you get people that say like not super nice things about everyone. That's what we want, right? That's the gossip fun. I'm currently watching Brisbane Survivor in anticipation of our next season's coverage, the sixth best season, Brisbane Survivor. And it's fantastically made. And there's some really good gameplay, but Jesus Christ, is everyone just way too nice to each other. It's going to make a very difficult tea party. But that wasn't the case for Melbourne Survivor Warrandyte. So I'm very excited to be getting into the tea party very shortly to get all the hot goss with our very exciting guests. Next week, I will be revealing the awards. So if you haven't voted, there's still time. Some of them are not a runaway. Some of them are, but some of them are not a runaway. So get in and vote and get your opportunity to have your say. And if you don't, then I don't want to hear you bitching about the outcomes later. And then I'll be talking with production, Liz, and somebody who was involved that presumably she will drag along. And then we move on to Brisbane. But tonight, it is the best part of our 4-week coverage. Welcome my host for this affair, the amazing, as always, Annabel. Welcome.
Hey, CK, she's here. She's mean. She's keen. She's definitely a queen. I can't wait. Yeah, you're not kidding. Like, they were serving drama on the season. And you know what? I have never said anything nice about the other LIGs you've been forced me to watch before. Like, this is not an act of love for me. This is an act of loyalty. And
it's
normally
it's love for me.
Like every second usually hurts my soul. I genuinely enjoyed this. Like, the merge episode was a genuinely good episode of Survivor. I liked it. I liked it. So dare I say,
did you throw up a bit in your mouth when you said that just then?
I was shocked. I'm not ashamed of it. So no, I think this is robbed coming in 7th place. I thought it was the only watchable season so far, and yeah, I can only assume every LRG I watch moving forward will be phenomenal.
Well, of course they will, because, you know, the one we're on is still to come. But I will drop off and I will let you introduce the fantastic guests we have at the tea party tonight. One of them is still pending. Hopefully he is available and will show up. But if not, we still have a couple of absolute stars for you to talk to. I will catch you all next week with the final coverage of this season. And I'll leave it to you, Annabel.
Stunning. Thank you. So we're very blessed tonight because we actually have a returning star of the tea party. Unfortunately, his tea last time, much like his gameplay, was lukewarm. But I'm hoping that tonight he can be just as electric as his performance on Melbourne Survivor. Calvin, welcome.
Hello. How you going?
Fabulous, darling. Have you got a little bit more for us this time around?
I think I do, yes. I think there's a lot more going on in this game compared to last time. So glad to be back and, spill some tea.
Absolutely. I mean, we had everything we had relationship sex scandals. We had org beefs. I can't wait. Speaking of org beefs, we might not have the Beef King joining us just yet, but we had the absolute star, Tara. Come on in.
Hello.
Hi, legend. Now, your encyclopedic knowledge of Survivor is only matched by your encyclopedic knowledge of LRG gossip. So we are truly privileged to have you here with us tonight.
Thank you. It is very good to be here.
Oh, stop it. Okay, so I did actually watch this season, so we're already doing better. A lot of it was on 2X, so if I'm missing minor details, do let me know. But I feel like we got to start at the end because my conspiracy theory is the only reason that this is been dropped down to 7th is the behind the scenes drama of the final 2. And that's in our final 3, 2 of them, Nick and Jake, secretly dating the entire time. Calvin, when did this information come out?
I found out about a half an hour or an hour after the game wrapped up from, I think, Vince, just sort of sneakily on the sly, like, told me, and a bit of a mind-blowing moment. So I had no idea throughout, no idea whilst on the jury, voting, and everything like that. Yeah. I don't actually know how many players did know at that stage, but yeah, I had no clue.
So did Vince knew going in?
I don't actually know when Vince found out, but yeah, he obviously found out before me. Whether that was when he was in the game or it was just after it finished, like me, I have no idea.
Tara, I bet you know. Did production let him know, or was this a known fact by some in the game?
I don't believe Vince knew coming into the game, but do you know who did know coming into the game? Liam. Liam knew this because Liam was an emergency. So it meant, as emergencies sometimes get to know things because people don't keep their mouths shut around them. Liam had that information all game, and he kept it under wraps. Didn't tell a single soul in the game.
That is why Liam is the purest soul. That was my main takeaway, to be honest, from watching this, was that Liam was the purest soul. Cal, Liam is the first person to come to you at the tribe swap, immediately tries building trust. And then we have this chaotic episode where you're like, no, I think voting out this woman who despises me and wants me out at all costs would be too easy. Why don't we go for like the purest man to have ever lived? Flush both my idols in the process. He still comes crawling back to you afterwards.
I know. Oh, God. I mean, when you put it like that, he is a sweet guy, but he was coming off very crafty and he had the wheels turning, and he was thinking, it felt like he was thinking a lot about plans moving forward. And I didn't know whether he was being 100% truthful to me. And I saw him as a schemer. So
he's a man of Jesus, Calvin. He could never. Okay, that man did not lie to a soul in his life. Justice for Liam. Yes. All right, no, let's go back to the initial hot goss. So, what was your initial reaction when you found out, Tara? You get out, you've just cast your jury vote. Oh my God, the winner and second place, who only, it was very close. They were in a relationship the whole time. What was your first reaction, Tara?
Well, I'll say after the game finished, I wanted to go over to just the two of them and congratulate them both on playing great games each. Because Nick was actually the one that got both of our jury votes, mine and Calvin's, as well as Jason Muscles. And so I walk on over to these two, and they're by themselves, kicking over the shelter that we had built at the start of the game, made of sticks. And I said congratulations, and it felt, I don't know, I got a bit of a vibe that something wasn't quite right with they seemed closer than they were already 10 minutes after the game than they were in the game. I go over to the rest of the cast, and the word has got out that those two had been in a relationship. They still are to this day. And I immediately felt very concerned about if my vote would have been different with this knowledge in hindsight. And I think it would have been, because I think a big reason I gave Nick my vote in the game was because I felt like he had a lot of guts to make flips and play the middle a bit more. He did the way he did in the game, where in hindsight, knowing he had kind of Jake being as good at building relationships as he was with the people he had been, we would be easily protecting Nick throughout the game, which meant my respect level for the game Nick played kind of dropped with that information. And yeah, I think I would have given my vote to Jake. So I think it changed, like, at least that, you know, in my opinion. But
well, that was actually going to be my follow-up question. So, all right, just on the surface, CK, let me do it. Get off. Don't mind me fighting with CK at the same time. So, Calvin, it just on the jury alone, like rest of the game aside, you know those two are dating. Does your vote change?
I don't know, mate. I have a problem with like I look at if it's an ally sitting like at the end, I think I'm like looking at them through like these wonderful goggles of like, you know, in awe of them getting there. So I don't know. It might have been hard for me to be swayed based on that. Just because like if one of my allies gets there, I'm like, fuck yeah, like you deserve it. But I think maybe it might have opened up my eyes to maybe like taking in Emily's game a little bit more. Yeah, I think I would have taken Emily's game a little bit more seriously compared to the others two, because I had personally written Emily off before Final Tribal Council. So yeah, maybe in that way it would have changed.
I thought that was interesting. So, I mean, Emily was a 0 vote finalist. I guess insofar as the fact she was on the bottom a lot, the other two had more control. On reflection, they had an unbreakable bond, so of course they could have more control. Tara, how has it affected your perception of Emily's game afterwards? I mean, you still say you probably would have just shifted your vote to Jake.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think if that information was out before Final Tribal Council, I would have also given Emily's game a bit more attention going into it. I will say the final three that we got were the final three I was hoping I would get to see once I was voted out of the game. At the time, at the very least. Emily's game was strong for the position she was playing from for a lot of the game. I think, at least for me personally, I like to reward people who had control and agency in the game and demonstrated that. And I just think Emily worked very closely with Jake for a lot of the game, and it definitely seemed between the two of them, Jake had more agency. So I don't think she would have got my vote. I will say, though, just going back to Nick, I do think his Final Tribal Council performance was the preferable of all three. I think he kind of answered a lot of the questions more bravely almost than the other two. I think Jake had a bit of I played just a very social game, was very bubbly all the time, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I don't even think it like spoke to the strength of control he actually demonstrated throughout the game. And I think perhaps even if I had the knowledge of the two of them dating, I do like to give a lot of credit to Final Tribal Council performances. So I think I still would have been in two minds about voting Nick and Jake. But so I'm not too sure, to be honest, now that I think about it.
I'm with you. I think like Jake, deserving winner. Really dominated the post-merge. I mean, the stranglehold the pair of you had on the pre-merge, he really emerged post-merge. And I think that the satisfying ending is part of what makes this season so great. On the topic of pre-game relationships, though, each of you did come in with pre-game relationships. CK wanted me to ask you how you mismanaged them compared to Jake and Nick, but I felt that was an unfair question on the grounds that, you know, having sex with someone really solidifies your alliance in a way that friendship just doesn't. Calvin, would you say that your biggest regret going into Melbourne Survivor Warrandyte was not having had sex with Jason Muscles before the game?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't want to have sex with Jason Muscles? But,
Okay, but seriously, where did you find Jason Muscles? Who is he? Is he still around? Is he real?
Yeah, so I used to live with Jason. I met him through just like a friend at the time. Like we weren't super close. And then, just moved in together. And yeah, I ended up getting involved in this whole world of like orgs and live LRGs and stuff thanks to Kyle. And Kyle and Kyle and Jason dated.
Oh my God, that's such a plot twist.
Yeah. So
I love that.
So Kyle would come over like to see his boyfriend, and then me and Kyle would end up just like nerding out to Survivor and like talking for hours on end about Survivor. And then so that's how that all happened. And then, you know, they eventually split up, and Jason moved over east, and I was coming over for it, and I was only going to be in Melbourne for a few days, and I was like, oh fuck it, like just apply, just give it a go, Jason, and, you know, see how you go. He hates the show. He hated listening to us talk about it. So I think he went into the game with the mission to vote me out. But you know, it was all we're still good friends. You know, him being in Melbourne, I don't see him as much as I'd like, but we're still in contact. So he's great.
Did Kyle kind of hold a bit of a knife to your throat and say, you better not have sex with Jason Muscles, he's my ex? And you were like, but I need to pre-game.
No, he did not. Me and Jason have never had that kind of relationship.
The chemistry's just not there. Okay, fair call. That was fairly brutal. Both of you ended up getting blindsided by your pre-game relationships. Tara, what was the tea with you and CM coming into the game?
Yeah, so me and CM had actually played an org a while ago. So we played Melbourne in, 2019? I met CM in 2017 online in my very first org I'd ever played. He was one of my first allies I'd ever had, but I did blindside him early pre-merge. So coming into Melbourne, I was very concerned about the fact that this is someone I had both won over as an ally and blindsided all in one game. And I was definitely nervous that he was going to come for me. So I wanted, hopefully, CM to keep things under wraps. I didn't know he was going to be playing. And ideally, I could still have someone that could potentially work with, but I didn't feel like he would want to actually work with me in the game. I didn't think he would trust me. And in the game, I do believe CM at the swap between where it was 3-3 Galata Durang, that's when CM started spreading word that I can't be trusted to people like Rancy and stuff like that. So I do think my gut instinct was right, that it would be problematic to have him there in the game with me. But I do, in hindsight, think that perhaps we could have actually worked more strongly together when the opportunities presented itself, because by wanting CM out by the time the merge came around, it meant I was automatically like screwed over when CM plays the idol, Calvin goes home, and my biggest shield of the game is gone, and I don't have much to fall back on in terms of relationships.
Yes, I mean, look, CM wasn't wrong. You can't be trusted. And you did make the first move. At Calvin's elimination, you voted for CM. Was that because you did feel like he'd been spreading your name out there and you couldn't trust him because of the whole org drama?
I'd say so. I think my priority going into the merge was surround myself with the loudest people possible. As a loud person myself, to stand out in these sort of games, the way like me and Calvin were from even before the game started, like we were sat in a room, like being sequestered, but we were all allowed to talk for whatever reason. And Calvin and I just like hit it off immediately, and everyone's just like silent. And Calvin and I are just like getting to know each other in front of everyone. It was, in hindsight, that was a terrible decision, but I think like I wanted to work with people like Jason Muscles, Ingrid, even Liam, who like, because he talked as much as he did and he had a schemy vibe, I saw someone that could help like protect me. So I was basically flipping on all original Galata except for Calvin. I felt like at the time we had Nick on side. We didn't by that point in time. So yeah, like mad regrets about how I approached the merge. But I think shield theory in theory made sense to me, I think. I think I should have locked in better on my alliance with Calvin and Nick going into it to make sure Nick was going to hold strong there.
Yes, I mean, you were playing the middle quite a lot. And we will get to your pre-merge dominance. Don't worry. I just want to get all of the painful bits out of the way first. Calvin, Jason Muscles, he flips on you. You say jokingly he was so sick of hearing you talk about Survivor. You thought that this was an opportunity for him to ruin Survivor permanently for you. Actually, though, were you kind of shocked? You are the only person there he knows. He doesn't even really know what he's doing. And he flips on you for his new friends immediately. Were you shocked? Were you shooketh?
Maybe a little bit, but I did on the way there, I did say to him, if for whatever reason you have to vote me out, don't feel bad about it. I don't want you stuffing up your game for me. So do what you've got to do. So I did make sure I said that to him beforehand. And yeah, maybe I was a little bit shocked, but I think from the edit, I think he rallied the votes on me. But
yes.
Based on what he was saying, it was for reasons that were in the game anyway, I had shown that I was shifty as fuck. And yeah, maybe if I had have been a bit more stick with them and not, voting for Liam in that round where I play both my idols, maybe he would have seen it a bit differently. But I think he did it for maybe he did do it for a little bit of sucked in Calvin, but I think it was a lot to do with what was going on in the game at the time.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about that. That Nat vote was wild. I felt like, especially and we're calling them Salada because whenever I watched it with the closed captions on, they would autocorrect Galata to Salada. You're on your starting tribe. It was a total hot mess. Also, you're all majorly overplaying. It seems like Tara's keep the bigger personalities around was just not a thing. We're trying to throw Liam under the bus to protect I hate your guts, Nat. What was your logic there, Calvin, in wanting to go after these so-called big personalities when you were also a big personality?
Oh, you mean in the swap tribe?
Yeah, and that early game. I mean, we lose Vince there at some point. Was Vince on your tribe?
I think I was just mainly focused on me and Nick going further because he was one of my number ones along with Tara, and I didn't really care about who else was targeted at that stage. I did want to keep Jason around because I thought I maybe could have a little bit of sway there. But anyone else was fair game given the circumstances, I guess. Just, give me a reason to vote you and I would have been down, basically. But yeah, no particular strategy in going for the bigger personalities or whatever.
I just need Ben. You've not watched this season. Let me reassure you. Calvin did not need to try to be the biggest personality in this game. Okay, no one was more aggressively dick swinging out there. We were the ORCA award. I think we all know who's going to be getting that one. And I think on that, I want to skip to a question I had for you, Tara. I mean, I only watched the first 2 episodes of this before I went to play Melbourne Survivor Season 3. And I had 2 main takeaways. The first one was, oh my God, everyone I'm going to be playing with was probably bullied in high school. Make sure you don't trigger any of those experiences. My second main takeaway was Calvin and Tara were the absolute most. And so we're so glad to have you here on the tea party. When I arrived, this is to Melbourne Season 3, it became quite quickly apparent that Tara was somewhat of an LRG celebrity in the Melbourne Survivor community. Only 2 episodes in, I wasn't really sure what the hype was all about, but having actually watched the season now, you were such a star. You were a social strategic threat. You were great in challenges. I mean, you go out swinging as well. You managed to rein in and manage the Calvin ego, which, having managed many an ego in my time, I've never done as successfully, and it's very impressive. But there was a very definite breaking point for you. And to me, it became immediately obvious in in not risky business, we call it risky questions
Touchy
or something.
subjects.
Touchy subjects, that's the one. When you are getting all of the unflattering, she's the biggest threat, she needs to go, she thinks she's running the game, she's not. We all simp for Jake, I would die for him. At what point, though, did you clock that you were completely screwed?
I mean, I think it was around the time Calvin left the game that I knew my game was done. Like, I remember when CM pulled the idol from the fire thing, and Calvin and I were both just sat there in our, tree stumps or whatever, being like, nah, fuck this, we're pissed off. Like, I knew Calvin was going then, and I was just like, that means my game's shortly over. So, like, the next 2 immunity challenges, I was like, I have to win these so I can like buy myself some time. So I did. And then I lost the one that was memory based, which I always would. But yeah, like even with touchy subjects, like I knew I was going to be the answers for a lot of those like less flattering questions, which is why I think I won the challenge, as well as I did the age-old strategy of just double up on what you think the public opinion is when answering those questions. Like, don't give your personal opinion, give the public opinion twice to like skew the results to a more predictable place. So you increase your odds of getting those questions correct. I think well before that point, I knew I was in trouble. In fact, now that I think about it, the Friday night going into the merge, I was lying in my bed, sleeping bag in the shack in the dirt, and I overhear a whispered conversation in the middle of the night between Emily and Ingrid saying like, talking shit about like basically me, saying like, oh, like I don't think we can keep Tara in the game anymore. Like, she's such a problem. No one can trust her. Like, yeah, we got to get her out of here. It wasn't a flattering conversation to overhear, but around that point in the game, I was like, yeah, look, like I'm fucked. So I think I still saw reason to try lock in with people like Ingrid moving forward into the merge, and I was able to vote alongside Ingrid in those next few votes that she was around for at the very least. But I just felt like I was fighting a losing battle from merge onwards, basically. Yeah.
Look, it makes sense to me how you, Calvin, ended up as such a target. You were a very dominant figure in the pre-merge, even in the minority on the swap tribe. You still managed to lead the tribe. You played 2 idols, albeit incorrectly. Where do you think it all went wrong for you?
It definitely all went wrong at the tribal that I tried to get Nat voted out, where I like fling my 2 idols around and don't play them. That was just like painted a big fat target on my back. That's exactly where I went wrong. There's so many ways that I could have played that differently, and it would have put me in such a strong position without like raising my threat level anymore. Like, I know I did have a pretty high threat level, but it wasn't like, we got to get this guy out ASAP. But yeah, like after that tribal, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it made it to the edit, but I'm in the confessional and I'm just like, I say to them, I'm like, I'm going to be the pre-merge boot. I'll be the next one after that. I knew that the writing was on the wall from them. Even if I still, was pretty sad, salty in my exit. I did see it coming before merge even happened. So
I'm glad you did, because really it made the season for me, in between like Calvin being absolutely outrageous, Tara fighting for everything. I think it is this is robbed. I mean, not that I've watched any of the others, but I think this is robbed at 7th place. So Nick claims the move, but talk to me really. Why did you decide to play both the idols there?
I was like genuinely, like after I played them and then we're going into the next round, I was like, well, the only 2 people that I can play the idols on are me and Nick. I knew in my mind that like they wouldn't vote for us. Like, that was going into that, I was like, yeah, no, they're not going to vote for us. But Nick was just like constantly at me like, oh, I don't know, like they might, they might still vote for us. They might not know the game that well and all that sort of stuff. And he just kind of, it was a constant like topic he kept bringing up. And then it just made me put this little slither of a doubt in my mind. And I was just like, Yeah, I think we were walking to Tribal when I fully decided to play them, and I was like, all right, fuck it, let's play it. Let's vote for Liam. Let's see if we can just completely flip it. Yeah, because just when someone's coming at you constantly, I think it just makes you doubt it a little bit. But yeah, initially I thought I didn't need to play it, but yeah, I allowed someone to get in my head.
Bloody Jason Muscles. And pure-hearted Liam, justice for Liam. Tara, you just seemed addicted to playing the middle, which, like, love for you that everyone wanted to work with you. But unlike Jake, who somehow managed to make it work for him in the end, for you, it just seemed to succeed in pissing off all of the people who you were close with. On reflection, do you wish that at the merge you had taken a stronger stand in aligning with the Calvin crew?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a big issue I've had in all of these sorts of games is I will, in my head, think, yeah, like my loyalties are closer to, people like Calvin, Nick, etc. But I won't exactly show them that via, like, building a stronger relationship with people. It will be via, like, having what I deem to be a more honest conversation. And in my head, unfortunately, I'll think it's smart to secure my place, thinking I've got plans happening with everyone by talking fake strategy with everyone that can be somewhat believable to some degree. And yeah, everyone will be like, that plan makes sense. I'll believe that. And then I won't follow through with that. I'll be like, what the fuck was that? So in hindsight, the best way to play the middle is with relationships, not with strategic planning that you don't follow through with. But yeah, it's a bit late for that.
I love that. We love these takeaways. Calvin, you did backyard first, right?
Yeah, about a year prior.
Yeah, what did you take away from that you did differently this time round?
Well, yeah, because it was released before I played, so I got to watch my season, and I personally feel like I didn't have that much of an impact on the season. There's not too much I could claim, I don't know, from it. So I kind of went into this just being like, I didn't intend to play as big as I did. I think I was hoping for a middle ground between backyard and how I ended up playing in Melbourne. But I knew I had to, like, come in and be remembered, make a few moves, leave a bit of a statement on the season. So that's my sort of, my takeaway from backyard.
We love it. And I mean, look, both of you, stars of the season, you'd be no-brainers for a recast. And, all-star seasons are all the rage at the moment, what with the news about Survivor 50 dropping. Tara's already been working at it. So if there's anything we learned from Warrandyte, you need to shore up your pre-game relationships by having sex with the other contestants. Tara, you've had Ash, she's also a big player. What we want to know, Cal, is what work have you been putting in sexually for a potential All-Stars?
Oh, I've been sliding into Tara's DMs, here and there, but she hasn't been that receptive, so I don't know how to take that.
You know what, Calvin? You know what? Like, I will say, rewatching our season of Warrandyte and knowing that in the game you felt like one of my only tickets to potentially make it all the way to the end of the game. If I could get you to the end of the game, I felt like I could get to the end of the game. But then rewatching it, you gave a confessional saying you might have to consider taking me out at some point. And ever since I saw that confessional, yeah, your DMs weren't. I don't think sway me much.
That's fair.
That really struck me. I'm glad you reminded me about that, Tara, because that really struck me at the merge as well. We have your confessionals, which are all, I need Calvin. The moment Calvin's gone, I am the most obnoxious person here. Meanwhile, we have Calvin saying, ooh, I don't know about Tara. I'll work with her for this vote, but I might axe her afterwards. What was your long-term game plan, Cal?
Yeah, obviously take it as it comes, like, each vote. But essentially, like, in that game, yeah, I definitely was going to cut Tara at some point. Maybe around 5 or 6 if I had the opportunity. Maybe take I don't know. I probably would have tried to take Goats to the end, to be honest. I'd like to say I would have had the balls to go up against other strong people, but I think in that game, no. I think I was just gonna, just try and beat the Goats.
I'm so glad you said that, because that is the perfect segue to the next question that I had.
Okay.
Tara, we saw you shamelessly, time and time again, refer to Rancy as a goat. When you watched the season back and saw that he had actually been running the game the entire time, he was the mastermind between the that put together and was leading the final 5. He seemed like the underdog, but he was actually on top. Have you apologized to Rancy yet?
I don't think I've given any apologies out, I'll be honest. I think I will say in regards to Rancy though, I played an online game of Survivor All-Stars with him at some point. And in that game, Jake was also in that game and won that game. Calvin was also in that game and did not win that game. But Rancy was not particularly keen on working with me in that game. I think an apology would have potentially mended some things there. And yeah, Rancy is an underrated player, big time. I don't think he's like a god at Survivor or anything like that, but I do think he is good at making himself quite approachable and trustable within the game. And if I had people like that closer aside me in these sorts of games, I think I would be a lot better off. But yeah, no apologies have been given. But I think for my game at least, I saw Rancy as a goat because I think if I was there at the end with him, I could have beaten him. But I don't think he played a bad game by any means.
Very diplomatic of you, Tara. We love it. So, oh my gosh, Jake has come back, played a season with half of his original cast, and you still let him win a second time, Calvin.
You're blaming me.
I'm blaming you. You were runner-up.
Yeah. Look, I had the same plan I had with Tara. I had Jake as my number 1. I was going to take him out, final 5, final 6. And then he went on an immunity run from final 7 onwards. So I had no hope. And I was shit at these immunities because these online games require you to have no job to do well in immunity challenges and being able to strategize all day. But I was working full time, so my immunity challenge efforts were shit. My strategy was shit.
It's true. So, yeah. He has the unemployed king advantage.
Yes. Tara would know that as well. I think she was unemployed.
I know about that. Yeah.
Oh, we love it. Okay, now I'm gutted that Josh Peterson couldn't join us tonight. He went AWOL mere hours before this podcast. So I'm hoping that one of you two at least have the tea. Coming into the game, there was a lot of heat on poor old JP. Like Liam, he had resting sketchy face, but given that the 2 people who specifically seemed to have the most beef with JP and were rallying all the votes against JP were Jake and Nick, separated on 2 separate tribes, I'm smelling org drama. Tara, what was the org drama?
Okay, so as far as I understand, there was another game prior to Melbourne Survivor that Jake also won.
Right.
Yeah. In that game, I think Josh was a host. I think he was a host. Either he played or he was, no, it might have been, I think he played actually, and he went out around mid-game. I think he hosted the next game, and that's where him and Ash helped cheat with each other back in the day. Yeah. But the first one, I think Josh played with Jake, and Jake, prior to showing up, I would imagine would have told Nick about how Josh Peterson is sketchy, and Nick then uses that as leverage to be the thing that made him the easiest person on the tribe to scapegoat and send home. I remember on that first vote, it was Vince that suggested we do a split vote, but I was like, either we just go all in on Josh or all in on Rancy. Good odds neither of them have an idol, and they both feel safe because they're included in these 5 people alliance, or like in one of the many 5 people alliances. I think in hindsight, it would have been very helpful for at least my game to have someone like Josh there instead of Rancy. But I can see why JP holds a lot of issue with the way that vote played out, because I do think it was bringing, outside of the game, intel straight into the game, and he didn't know that this was happening at the time.
That's interesting. Cal, you're nodding like you have Goss on this as well.
Oh, not so much Goss, but I think like Nick, Nick definitely like drove that vote on Josh. Like, I think we all were probably maybe a little bit sus on him, but I think he like firmly put the name out there. And he told me specifically like about that drama. So I can understand him being a bit salty. You know, he was my spooning buddy on night 1 as well. So, you know.
Because it didn't seem like any of you really wanted him out. Vince wanted to work with him. You and Tara both wanted to work with him. He was kind of part of that 5, one of your 5s that you had, but obviously you were a tight 3 with Nick, and Nick really wanted him out. Oh, Ash has some sad news. We wish Josh was here. I hope nothing's wrong with. I assume he's been hospitalized, and that's why he can't make it tonight. This was his big moment. We might have to have a separate tea party just for him. Okay, all right. That does clear things up a little bit there for me. What were there any other kind of do you think was Josh, obviously, clear winner. After Josh, who was the most mad about being voted out? Were there any throwing a tantrum, stealing props? We've seen that in some of your other games.
Well, I mean,
I think it was
me.
you, Calvin.
Yeah. Okay, it was you.
Other than that, I don't think anyone was. I think everyone else took it pretty well. Steph maybe seemed a little bit.
Oh, Steph. Yeah, I hope everyone sleeps in the cold or something.
Yeah.
She was mad. But have there been any enduring enemies as a result? Oh, Tara and Rancy, obviously.
Well, I will say after the season, Josh Peterson and Vince had a little podcast where they were recapping their own season. And in that, I remember there was some comments made about Rancy being like just not even there, or like kind of invisible, was really quiet, all these sorts of things. And there was a bit of an outrage post that podcast release. And I think between Rancy and Josh Peterson, there was a fair bit of back and forth. I think a lot of that has been cleared up since then, but I think that was definitely post-game drama that, kind of was happening on the behind the scenes of it all.
Justice for Josh and justice for Rancy, I say. I mean, Tara, you did say before that you think on hindsight you could have worked better with someone like Josh rather than Rancy. What did you mean by that?
I think back in 2019 when I played that game, my gameplay style being relatively unsubtle. People like Calvin who are willing to just scheme and plot, and that's how we bond. And then I think Josh Peterson is one of those people that you scheme and plot, and that's what bonds you a lot of the time. And I think at that time, that would have been extra insulation for me. And I feel like Rancy, was not going to be that person.
Cal, we did see Rancy end up going all the way to Final 5. Some would say running that Final 5. Do we think that had Rancy gone out first instead of Josh, Josh could have made a deep run?
Oh, no, I don't. He was giving schema, like shifty schema vibes. Like he was gonna totally paint a target on his back by like trying to make some. I just felt he tried to make some big move, some big play against an ally too early on, and it just like bite him in the bum. So sorry, Josh, I don't think you may merge anyway if Rancy goes.
I don't
In
know.
fairness,
sorry.
Go, Tara. No, you go.
I don't know. Cause my first impression of both Josh and Rancy were like, they're both really quiet. Like I didn't get like extremely like sketchy vibes from either of them. I was just like, neither of these two people are gonna like insulate me particularly well in the game. Knowing Josh a little better these days, I think he would have emerged as someone that would have been easy to paint as sketchy. I think like there were one or two things he actually did in the game that were more sketchy, like when we were all having like group conversations, he would wander off and start looking for an idol. And, you know, I always thought that was quite funny, but I don't think he, at least to me, he didn't read particularly like Machiavellian. Yeah, obviously in hindsight, and we now know that he is. Yeah, like, so, but yeah, at least on very first round one Friday night impressions, I didn't get like mega sketchy vibes from him, to be honest.
I think the fact that the power couple had pre-game beef with him enough to get him out first, to me, says he's not making it super far. But that's not on you, Josh. That's on the power couple, and that's on you being sneaky in an org. Everyone be lovely in your orgs. You never know when it'll come back to bite you on the ass. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's say you're stranded on an island somewhere with these people and told you have to play the game of Survivor with them again. Who would you particularly want to work with next time, Cal?
Who would I want to work with? I think someone like, I think Ingrid maybe would be kind of cool to be able to like start an alliance with from the start. Also, Chris, of course. We've squashed our beef.
I hear that he's very sneaky in orgs. I'm coming in with pre-game org sneaky beef with CM. I've never played an org with you, CM, but I'm holding that candle for CK.
No, he's an absolute legend. Like we about 3 or 4 months after Melbourne Survivor, I played my first org and got voted out way too early. So then I like dove into like Discord, and I invited him to play one with me, and like we were allies, and we've been allies quite a few times now. So yeah, he's a good dude. Not so shifty.
We love him, and I am anti-Cal, so I guess if I'm anti-CM, you guys can be the anti-Annabelle alliance. Tara, what about you?
I think I would definitely enjoy working with people that I wouldn't normally work with, like, yeah, people like Calvin and stuff. Obviously, I feel like I would still like have those existing connections, but I would like to attempt to work with, I was actually thinking someone like Ange, I would rather have, with me than against me. Like, she played a trial shortly after our season, or a little bit after, and she made it all the way to Final Tribal Council, playing like relatively strong surviving game. And I think having like people to balance out kind of, and because you have to kind of relate to them on their level and of kind of frequency within the game, I think it would help kind of mellow me out a little bit more. And if I can build trust with someone like that, I think overall it would be a benefit to my greater game. But yeah, I think I would also try for the millionth time to work with Jake Heath, because we've played a few games and things together and we always end up on opposite sides of things. I don't know if he would work with me. I don't know if he would trust me, but I would definitely be down to try work together with him.
There's nothing like a little bit of sex, Tara, to really seal that pre-game alliance. Just consider it. I'm throwing it out there as an idea. All right, let's flip that on the other side. Is there anyone you see them, you're coming into the game and you're like, oh shit, like they need to be gone right now? Cal.
I think I would have to vote out Josh again. I think he would hold a little bit of a grudge of what happened last time. So I don't think he'd hesitate in like gunning for me pretty early. So he'd be one. I would be. I wouldn't work with Jake either. Absolutely not. Not after how the org we played together went down. We've since patched things up since then, but that was a pretty messy relationship, even though we were number one allies. So yeah, I'd say those two. I think everyone else has a fair go, like, you know, depending on how they approach me. But yeah, those two, no way.
You've got to hold an old grudge for life. I know I do.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely. Like that stuff it's thick. Tara, what about you? Who's our oh fuck moment?
I think a lot of the cast is a bit of an oh fuck for me, because I heard post game after our season count. I don't know if you heard the same thing, but like apparently the round they did the swap, it was actually like one round before they meant to do the swap, and if Galata had gone back to tribal, which were good odds, they were like Vince had been like brewing up an alliance of people to get ready to take one of us out.
Yeah, I'd heard that. Yeah.
So a lot of that original Galata tribe, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I think they'd have it really out for myself and probably Cal as well. I think a lot of those Durang members, I potentially would have a bit more hope working with, but not much more hope than that. I think I'd be in trouble. I really do.
Saladas are dead to us.
Yeah,
there's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of jealousy there. Everyone hates a hot main character. Sue us. All right. What do you think was the we're coming to an end now because it's nearly my bedtime. But like, what do you think was the juiciest bit of goss from this season? I mean, what was your Scott Condoms moment?
The what, sorry?
Yeah, a guy on my season smuggled in some condoms. It was iconic. There was like 12 of them. And we're like, why do you need all those? It was amazing. He was really trying to get that sex pre-game alliance stuff going.
Yeah, right.
In regards to Scott, I know this is the wrong season, but he actually hit me up prior to playing with fire, asking how effective do you think it would be to try have like showmances with people on the show. And yeah, I remember having that conversation and then seeing, you know, the drama with him bringing in the condoms and everything. And I was just like, oh, gross.
Iconic. Honestly, iconic behavior. Wow. We live. So yeah, what was the Scott Condoms moment of your season?
I mean, it has to be the Jake and Nick saga.
Yeah,
really.
You're right. Like, they were actually dating.
Yeah, there's nothing else like scandalous, really.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll ask you something to self-indulge yourselves. Tara, what was the highlight for you? What was the moment you're really proud of that you look at and you're like, ugh, I was so hot and slay right there?
I think most of my best moments in the game were all pre-merge. In terms of just how well I was solidified and in a position of control early in the game. Even I think my favorite round that I just had fun being a part of was probably the swap when it came down to the 3-3 from each tribe. And immediately everyone's saying like, I'll flip to that side, I'll flip to this side. Like, and we're trying to run the numbers. And I was attempting to see if I could pull off a 3-2-1 by just getting someone to fuck up on their vote. I didn't. But I think in terms of just proudest moments, it was just like how solid I was in the pre-merge, to be honest.
Yeah, CK did want me to ask you, Tara, how much of your life have you wasted practicing slide puzzles?
I think, I mean, I don't do them anymore because I feel like I've got them pretty under wraps, but I did definitely spend a good amount of time just on the train into uni, like just doing like slide puzzles and other Survivory expected challenges. Yeah, I would say like a good amount of my life was dedicated to puzzles. Yeah.
We love that. All right, Calvin, what was your, oh my God, I'm so hot moment?
Mine's the same. Obviously my game was strong in pre-merge because that's all I really got to play. But I think the moment it's not on camera, unfortunately. When I end up finding Nat's idol, it was just like all done in such a quick motion. Like we're just at camp alone. No one's filming us, and she's like, "I haven't read my clue yet," and I'm like, "Oh, well, get it out. We've got to like try and find this thing together." Blah blah blah. And I just I don't know, something switched in my head, and I immediately was like, "I have to get this idol. Like she cannot find it. I need to get it and have two." And I just manipulated the fuck out of the situation, and I knew where to send her so she wouldn't see me finding it. And it was just the easiest idol I've found, and it was just it all came together great. And I was like, fuck, I'm a boss.
Honestly, that was hot. That was hot. I was aroused a little bit. You were both just absolute icons this season. As I said, coming into this podcast, I actually enjoyed watching it, which to me, that was the juiciest gossip this season, the plot twist I never saw coming. All right. Well, okay, no. Second last question. So we have the ORCA award, which I think it's already pretty obvious who's going to be first and second for that one. And they're here on this podcast. But just to remind everyone what the 3 criteria are for ORCA of the season, if I can remember them off the top of my head. Number 1, propensity for narcissism. So they think they're running the show. They're masterminding all of the moves. This is their game. Loud and proud. They have to have rubbed somebody the wrong way by the end of episode 1. And what's the third one? I think it's something about, strong arming. You've got a strong arming strategy. So sorry, propensity for narcissism is you talking about yourself and how marvelous you are in your confessionals. 3, strong arming strategy is all about forcing your will upon others, whether successful or not. I think uncontested, we've got the winners in this room. But if we can't vote for either of you, who would your nomination for ORCA of the season be? Of the Bromelo medal? Yeah, no, obviously it's a unanimous vote for Calvin. Yeah. Possibly one of the most ORCAs to have ever ORCA'd, joining prestigious people such as James Wolfe, Ethan Bromelo. I can't remember the ones from the other LRGs we've watched, but they were all equally iconic. Kevin, that's right. Kevin was also one of the most ORCAs to have ever ORCA'd. Kevin from Backyard. Matt was another one. It's a very male heavy award, but I think I'm going to give
what's up with that?
CK a run for his money when it comes to our season. It's a very male brand of confidence. Dom was an amazing ORCA. He was such a good ORCA.
I think it has to go to Josh, right? I can't think of anyone else, or maybe Chris, if anything. But everyone else was pretty
humble.
Yeah, no one else was like that.
Yeah,
I
agree. I think
Jake had essences of it in his confessionals. Jake would talk a little bit about how, there's essences of propensity for narcissism there.
Yeah, I think the nominations are either the first boot or the winner here. Weirdly, I think Josh probably takes it home in spite being a first boot, which is kind of iconic in my opinion. I really do think a big pitfall for the two of us, me and Calvin, is that we had a very humble cast. Everyone was really down to earth and just good-hearted people for the most part. And I think, it made the two of us stand out big time in a cast where everyone's just straight up chilling out, I think Josh Peterson would get my vote, but Jake would also be the next best. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good question, Ash. Does anyone have a secret ORCA-sized dark side on this cast? My vote for this one is Rancy. I think Rancy's a secret ORCA.
I think I would agree with that. I think Rancy is a secret ORCA. He You're right. That's a good insight. I do think Ramsey on the surface loves like the self-deprecating sort of humor and comments and things like that, but I think he loves the spotlight when he gets it and really like has a lot of fun with it. And I think it does, especially after Melbourne, seeing him in other online games and things like that, he massively would tap into like quite an overconfident, aggressive sort of gameplay style. And I think that is a stark contrast to how he sort of was manifesting in season 2.
Absolutely, Liz. The Rancy confessionals this season gave me life. Okay, look, well, when we have our Oops All Orcas org, Tara, and you and I are the only women on the cast of 20, then maybe we can all benefit from not being the most obnoxious people there.
Yes.
in a sea of humility. All right. Last question. We've got to the hour, and we always finish on the Maxwell Johnson question. Cal, did you have a good time? Did you make lots of friends? Was it a positive experience? What did you take away from this?
I had a great time. I walked away so happy with the whole experience, bar my exit, I guess. Yeah, but I think I learned, like I can, I learned a bit. I can be confident and be out there and stuff like that, because that's how I was in Melbourne isn't necessarily how I am in my everyday life. So yeah, just being able to go out there and just be an open and confident person was like, it was quite a nice experience for me.
Absolutely, and it makes good television. We
Yes,
love having some big characters. More people need to go out there and be more, Let's not be less for the win, people. Let's be more for the TV. Some of us are forced to watch this for the tea party. Tara, did you have a good time? Did you make lots of friends?
I would say so. I think I had a very good time playing. Like, even once I was voted out of the game, I had a blast just talking shit with Calvin on the jury. And I think post-game, I know like a lot of the season 2 players, like they're still around in the community, just doing their own thing. And that's a vibe. I do think there is... Like even the group chat made after the season, it popped off for quite a long time. It's totally dead now, but the only person not in that group chat was Jason Muscles, I think, and everyone kept spotting him at random moments in Melbourne anyways. I think I had a very positive experience. I think I obviously really loved the attention that I got post-season. I've got nothing to really complain about from playing Melbourne Survivor to post-season experiences. I think it was like a really good time.
I mean, you're right, Ash. The real winners are the orcas. You can't make it to the end if you orca'd hard enough, and that's great, Tara. No, I'm with you. It was a cute season. It was a cute season, and by cute I mean it was hot and spicy. All right, everyone, thank you so much. Last thing I did want to say, because I've been meaning to say it for the last hour and I keep forgetting, Liz looked really hot this season as well. Liz, I don't know what you were doing with your hair, but you were serving at the tribal councils, and you need to bring that look back. It was very sexy. I was into it. All right. That's the tea party. That's the tea. I'm sleeping with Liz to pregame for All Stars. Please join us on he doesn't call the rest of it the Orca pod. Yeah, it'll be Maverick night before you know it. Watch Snyder. CK's got more Melbourne Survivor Warrandyte coverage coming, because more is always more. Always more, where I imagine he'll be covering or announcing what all of the awards are. Obviously, we all know who the Orca is, but I believe there's other awards like Player of the Season, Best Merge Player, yada yada, Pre-Merge Player, yada yada yada. So you definitely want to tune in for that. If he's not already spoken to Liz about the behind-the-scenes production goss, I'm sure he'll be doing that as well. So stick around. There's always more Orca Pod goodness. Thank you, Cal and Tara. You were both really fun. Cal, it was nice of you to spill some gossip this time. So no doubt when we see you both and have you back here on your next season, we'll have a lot more drama. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. See ya.